What's up, guys? I'm Nate, and I'm back here with an MLB series preview. This is the first one of 2021 that I'm doing, and I figure we'll see how it does, and if it goes well, if it gets a lot of views, maybe it's a series that I could really carry over, and every week I could go over a matchup or two. That's going to be very pivotal. So we got the Phillies, and we got the Mets at Citi Field in Queens this week. From Tuesday to Thursday. The series was supposed to start tonight on Monday, but it got washed away due to rain. So they have a doubleheader coming up Tuesday, then they have a night game Wednesday, which you can see on ESPN, and they have a matinee Thursday at noon. So I'll just give a rundown, give my maybe series prediction at the end, but I'll go through the pitching matchups, go through who's favored in each game of this series of two contending teams. One that's more likely to make the playoffs than the other in the Mets, but one that has started out better in the Phillies. So the Phillies come in at 6-3 on the season. The Mets, it's been a very bumpy start, not even all their fault. They're 2-3. They've only played 5 games. Opening series got washed away due to the Nationals' COVID. Then they played the Phillies, and they lost 2 out of 3 to the hot Phillies, who had just come off a sweep to the Braves prior to that. The Phillies stayed hot, took 2 out of 3 to the Mets, and now the Mets over the weekend, they had the Marlins. They came back in their home opener Thursday on the Michael Conforto thing. They were randomly off Friday. They lost in a bad game for the Mets Saturday. And then Sunday, yesterday, man, Stroman wasn't happy. So they're losing Stroman for this series. If they had just postponed that game against the Marlins, they would have had Stroman for this series, but they can't have Stroman for this series, most likely. Now, yeah, definitely not, because he's not going to pitch tomorrow. Actually, Wednesday, the Mets still have a TBD for their starter, so who knows? Maybe Stroman feels like he could pitch Wednesday. But yeah, they played when they really shouldn't have. There were puddles on the field, and they decided to start the game in it. Why? So the Phillies come in so far with the 11th best OPS in the majors. They haven't even scored all that much runs. They've scored 4.2 runs per game. But they have the 11th best OPS in baseball, which is only 710 OPS, by the way. Place is number 11. It's definitely been a pitcher-friendly start to the season. It definitely has been for these two teams. And for the Mets, again, there's really nothing to assess. They played 5 games, but they rank 22nd in OPS with a 667 OPS. Rough start for the Mets offense in the first 5 games. They've scored 3.2 runs per game. And on the pitching side, the Phillies, again, rank 11th. So the Phillies' 11th offense, 11th pitching basically so far this season gets them to a nice 6-3 record to start the season. And then for the Mets, they come 13th in ERA through their first 5 games. But again, we're at a point where we still much more assess my preseason rankings and stuff more than 5 or 9 games. So anyway, game 1 is at 4:05 on Tuesday. Chase Anderson gets the ball for Philly going up against David Peterson of the Mets. Chase Anderson actually turned in a nice performance, 5 innings, 2 runs against the Mets last week, whereas David Peterson got roughed up. So they're rematching. They didn't face each other in the same game, I don't think, last week. But they're both facing the same team they faced just last week. And going into this matchup, man, Chase Anderson, he's better than Matt Moore, I'll tell you that. I think just looking at it, Chase Anderson, he was bad last year, but he's had a career of decency, and I don't think there's any reason to think that that's definitely over. David Peterson, he's more unproven, more upside, more downside. He had an ERA just above 4 last year. So these guys, the most logical projection sees these guys right around 4.5 ERA type guys. Definitely more towards back end of the rotation options for these two contenders. Then the nightcap on Tuesday, which, my bad, you could see the Tuesday night game on ESPN, not the Wednesday night game. You're seeing the Tuesday night game on ESPN, which, by the way, these are 7-inning games. So what's pretty notable for these two Tuesday games is that these teams both, their biggest weakness is their bullpen. So you'll see less of the bullpen for sure. So Anderson, Peterson, they might not be the most likely to provide a lot of length, but you're not going to need a ton of bullpen usage nonetheless. Nola versus Walker is the Tuesday night ESPN matchup for the pitching side of things, and that's a great matchup. I'm one to say that Taijuan Walker is definitely more likely to be better than Stroman, because Stroman is kind of overrated and Walker is an underrated addition. Whereas Nola, but Taijuan Walker is not Aaron Nola. I won't say that, though. Aaron Nola is an ace, but he's not as good as Zach Wheeler. I mean, I had Zach Wheeler coming 3rd in Cy Young this season, and he's off to a pretty nice start, though he got roughed up in Atlanta a bit. But in this Tuesday night matchup, Phillies got the pitching advantage. In the Tuesday day game, where it's Anderson versus Peterson, maybe a slight Met advantage, nothing too notable. A slight Met advantage is kind of good for the Phillies, I guess, because the Mets rotation is where they're supposed to be much superior to Philly, because both are solid offense. Philly's offense is their stronger suit. But then again, Wheeler-Nola, what a terrific 1-2 punch. Then on Wednesday, you got Zach Wheeler, the Phillies' best pitcher, going up against a TBD. We'll see if Stroman's back. Maybe he give it to Joey Lucchesi. I think he has a chance to get his first start of the year because he's their 5-man, but they haven't needed a 5th yet. And then Thursday at noon, you got Eflin against DeGrom, man. Jacob DeGrom on the mound gets no run support, but I think it would still be very foolish for the Mets fans to not be happy that DeGrom's pitching. I mean, he's the best pitcher in baseball, and still, despite years of this, I still draw it up to coincidence, honestly. Like, what, your team's less motivated? Come on now. I mean, you should love the heck out of the guy, man. You should score runs for him. I'm sure they're not less motivated. But Zach Eflin, a guy who may be rising to above average status. He's been average for the last many years. I think his name gets overlooked a bit. Pretty nice 3 to have for Philly. But yeah, the pitching matchup, let's not, like, forget that offense is as big or bigger. Like, just because I talked about the pitching matchups, that's just because that is, like, a big impact on that individual game. But let's not forget that offense is a big part of this. Haven't even mentioned, like, the stars and stuff, man. Last night on Sunday Night Baseball, Hoskins, Harper, Gregorius, man, they all homered for Philly. JT Realmuto's been off to a good start this season too. And listen, this is a Mets video, so I could say it. I try to avoid Lindor slander, but again, he's the most overrated player in baseball, and he's the 6th best hitter on the Mets. Follow me on Instagram at @flamingbaseball_, because I post stuff and give takes, and then at @flaminghoops_ for my basketball content, which, by the way, very, very important. I'm definitely considering doing a lot of basketball content as well as this baseball content on here. I will leave the link in the description to my NBA channel. I really want you guys to subscribe, so knowing that you're there to see it when I make stuff. I mean, my best prediction for this series that the Mets win 2.5 games, the Phillies win 1.5 game, but obviously that can't happen. So I guess I would say Mets are gonna take 3 out of 4 in this. These teams have been very competitive against each other the last few years. Ever since like 2018, I really enjoyed watching this rivalry. The Mets have definitely risen to being the better team, but then 2020 was so weird. The Mets were just bad. Like, what? But now they're back to like good and beyond their 2019 status. The Mets have been a weird organization the last 6 years, man. Well, really the last decade, because they had that rebuild and they were in the playoffs for 2 years, including a World Series trip casually. Definitely weak for a World Series team, that 2015 Mets, but no slander. Then they were bad in 17. Tried coming back. Well, they came back a bit at the end of 18, but it was meaningless because they were out of contention by the break. And then in 19, they started bad, rose into real contention, fell a little short of the playoffs. And then in 2020, shortened season, man. The Mets went 26-34, choked. And now in 2021, I ranked them as the 4th best team in baseball, but it's been a little bit of a weird start for them. But yeah, I guess I'll go Mets are going to win 3 out of 4. Phillies definitely have a chance to split it. I would be mildly surprised if the Phillies were to win 3 out of 4. I would be shocked if either team swept this. Just a fun April competitive matchup between 2 teams that are going to be playing meaningful games against each other throughout the whole spring, summer, into the fall, maybe. Fall technically don't start till September 21st, so we'll have to see if the Phillies are still in contention then. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll do baseball stuff on here, man. So make sure you do subscribe and hit the bell. And like I said, basketball channel in the description. Leave a like if you enjoyed. It's the best way to show your support. This video is a little bit weird. Maybe not the greatest, maybe not the worst. I'll just be doing more, maybe like more specific topic. But I mean, hey, it was a series preview. But yeah, I could say I hope that the Philadelphia Phillies take the series and really grow their NL East lead to actually cause some intrigue.